Oh, greetings, Pathfinders! My name is Dustin Knight, and I'm your host for Infiknight Reviews. Tonight we have a special kind of Kitsumas Eve review of Dragonkin Ancestry's Gingerbread Witch, and of course, a biased review of Kitsune of Golarion. I say biased as I did get the privilege of being one of the authors of this book, in addition to Alexandra Gunis, Joanne Hong, Ruvad Virk, and Sky Mapia Wall. I can't pronounce last names. And Ali Chen was our distinguished editor for this wonderful, wonderful product that I would totally, even if I didn't have a single page in here, would probably do an entire show on it anyway, given this show is all about reviewing, in addition to Magic cards, Pathfinder Infinite books, and on occasion Kitsune merchandise, of which this is both. So that being said, we will get right to our first product. So Dragonkin Ancestry. I almost feel like doing an entire show on the 3 different Dragonkin books. What I do kind of enjoy about having so many different Dragonkin options is in Pathfinder 2e, it's very easy to mix and match what you got here. There's at least one feat from each of these books you could use. I do still prefer Luis's. I even prefer Samurai Sheepdogs over this one, but for 75 cents, there's some decent things you could throw in from here. I love Fang Spark's really cool, lets you add your breath weapon attack to your bite specifically, and the flavor on it is fantastic. I love that there's an amphibious Dragonkin heritage if you want to play one of those underwater dragons. There's some things about this I'm not too fond of, like I kind of wish the breath weapon was a primary heritage trait rather than something you have to pick up a feat for, especially when there are heritage traits that give you the ability to modify your breath weapon, which you won't have without the first level feat. But I do love getting a small wormling as a familiar. I do love getting a riding wyvern as a companion. There's some neat stuff in here, but it's not going to beat out the other 2 Dragonkin for me. But like I said, what makes PF2 really great with its heritage and ancestries is you can mix and match. So at least at my table, if you want to take up a couple of these feats and tack them to another heritage, or the other way around, talk to your GM first, look at your full layout of feats, and decide if it works for you. Whee! Another smaller product that came out this week, we have the Gingerbread Witch by Novel Enigma. The Gingerbread Witch is a class archetype exclusively for the witch. The first thing I'm going to say right off the bat is it restricts your spell casting so that you cannot cast any spell that requires a DC saving throw or attack roll. So you instantly become very limited as to what spells you could cast. But when you daily prep, you could pre-cast your spells into cookies that people could eat and then get the benefits from. Or curses from, I suppose. If you could find a non-DC based, I don't think there's anything like Sen Skin in PF2 yet, but maybe. So there are some minor little quibbles that I have. Just to start off, one little thing is it technically doesn't say how many actions to eat the cookie. You could assume it's a single interact action. I think there's something where if you don't know, can I cast counteract spells? Technically, yes. Yes, technically you can. And not all your spells have to be casted to cookies. You only get spells equal to your intelligence modifier plus your level. You can only get that many spells worth of cookies cast at the beginning of the day, which in retrospect is a lot. I mean, that will be 25 spells. You're probably going to start using cantrips and buffs. And there are other ways to expand the number of cookies you get each day. Specifically, there is a feat called Gingerbread Witch Dedication. The Dedication feat, which you have to get to get this archetype, does make it so that you can choose to only have half the duration of any spell that you eat, like a buff, and then up to 10 minutes later you could get the second half of the buff, which some GMs may like, some might not like. If you didn't like the idea of your players running from door to door before your buffs expire, you might not like this as much, but it does add some tactical nuance, and it does expand the number of buff spells you get per day. So especially if you're the only caster in the party and you want to buff everybody, this might be a good dedication to throw in mechanically. Flavor-wise, It's great. Your familiar is a gingerbread man or otherwise an animate cookie that you probably accidentally brought to life, who then taught you the secrets of making more cookies that come to life. There's a spell in here that's very, very much like illusory creature, where you make a living cookie that can attack every round. Except instead of doing damage, it does... Is this one that does that? Yeah, instead of doing damage, it does disarm, grapple, or trip attempts. Which I like that a lot. And there's another spell called Delicious Cookie that lets you heal. I suppose, since technically... I'm not sure if you could cast the traditional healing spell if you take this archetype, because that might have a DC when you use it against undead. So I suppose that's why they have Delicious Cookie in here. Oh, the PDF has been updated to add scaling to bad cookies. It could shove instead of grapple, and its size limitations increase as you level. Excellent. So apparently I have an outdated PDF. Oh, in addition, bad cookie, if it's destroyed with a bite attack or otherwise eaten, it will do poison damage to the target. So there's also that. Or I should say Jaws attack. There we have it. So this is a fun PDF. There's a lot of neat stuff you could do to it. There's a chance it might need just a little bit of tweaking in certain campaigns if you are worried about your players getting too many buffs. But the idea of passing out cookies to everybody, especially like making party-wide buffs that everyone could have at once, makes stuff like the Polymorph Sub-School a lot more fun. Being able to go, everybody quick, first round, spend an action, everyone eat your cookie, it will all turn into dragons. I like that a lot. Do you have the file with the archetype class feats? I'm not sure, Novel. I have this file that you see right here in front of you. It only has the one dedication class feat. It doesn't have the other class feats. So apparently it has been updated to have further class feats. And when I am able to read and review that, I promise I will do a more thorough review of this product when it is fully updated. As apparently this being told in chat by the author that this is not the file that I have was apparently an early release that was not fully updated, and I didn't get any emails saying that there was an update to it. Yeah, no problem. That happens to everyone. I think Spell Trickster is on version 3? Anyway, on to the main event for today. I really wanted to talk about Kitsune of Golarion, but it is a 47-page book of absolutely incredible content. I can't believe how amazing the flavor is in here. I do have 3 heritages in here out of the 16, but reading the others, like, wow, I gotta say, I don't think mine are the strongest after I read the others, because some of these others are absolutely fantastic. All these... let's just get in here. So the way this book is set up is the first half or so is the heritages of all these kitsune, split by continent. So you start out in Arcadia, where you have the Medic kitsune, who are the... so throughout the book, there's this idea that the Forest of Spirits at one point was much larger, or what we now have known as the Forest of Spirits was at one point kind of encompassed most of the northern hemisphere, like way back when, at least according to legend. And as it got split up, as the continents move around, that kind of caused some of these migrations of kitsune throughout the world, so they're not just in Tiansha. This is especially big for the Medic, who live in this kind of misty, fog-hidden forest in Sigarda, in Arcadia, where they're kind of don't want to interact with other humans because of some bad blood, so they intentionally act as guides to this forest, hidden in their human guise, where they make sure that humans don't find their city, which makes a really cool PC, potentially being one of those guides and like potentially guiding the PCs away from there, or maybe to the village, because there's something so horrible happening that they need help from outsiders. All of these entries are split into 2 subsections. You have history and culture. This is, of course, after you see where the population centers are, you see what they could shape change into, and you see their physical features. They have history and culture, and then they have traditions and celebrations, which I love. They go into stuff like what weddings are like, how births are celebrated, how funerals are done, the different holidays, the different deities they worship, how they see these deities, really important. There are tons of different ways that they see everything, especially Daikitsu. There's a bunch of different ways all these kitsune see Daikitsu. For example, the Madi, call her Sinwan, the Lady of Wild Rice, and I will immediately apologize about mispronouncing that, but mispronouncing stuff is a problem we all have at times. Also from Arcadia, we have the Duzawe, who are all into beast guns. I love that idea. Absolutely love that idea. I think if I made a kitsune using any of these, if my GM said, make a kitsune from any of these heritages, I think I would probably go Duzawe. It seems like a total fun PC. They're all about, like, while they are gun wielders in Arcadia in the Deadshot lands, and thus they are still, they still follow the, I just lost it. They still follow that tenet that you have to follow if you're a gunslinger in Arcadia. They like to bend the tenet a little toward their own alignment. So the example given is, normally you can't use a gun against an unarmed opponent, but if you were taking down a tyrant, well, they're not unarmed. They have the power of their authority over the government. So that's a weapon. Go for it. They do things like that. They have a lot of self-expression, adventures. They seem like very fun adventures. They're very expressive, goal-oriented. They want to make a name for themselves. I love that a lot. The Duzawe, really cool. Absolutely love it. Faceless Man in chat says, what a beautiful layout. It really is. Man, when I first saw this, I was blown away. I love it. I love the little foxes down there for all the numbers. This whole book looks absolutely gorgeous. I absolutely love it. It really brings things up a notch for all of Pathfinder Infinite. All right, so I'm going to quickly go over Kitsune of Avestan. This is the section I worked on. We have the Angen Kitsune from Taldor. They live in the forest up in near northern Taldor, where they do a lot with illusion magic. A lot of them happen to worship Savannah, except they believe she has 9 veils instead of 7 because they see her as a kitsune, of course. And they like tricks. There's a lot of Angen from all over Avestan. So they have probably the most diverse selection of heritages that you could find. While they are their own heritage and culture, they kind of originated from all these people coming together during this really bad winter and being like, hey, we're all kitsune, let's make this village, and the druids here have granted us some independence, and we can make our own little micronation here in this little village in this little forest. So if you want to be a Taldan Kitsune, you could totally go for that. Bianca agrees. They really like the layout. Looks really professional. Well, the layout and the book was done by Alexander Agunas, who has been a professional third-party author since I have been playing Pathfinder. They've been in the game for a long time, and they are kind of the master of Kitsune products throughout Pathfinder 1E and now 2E. The Rengo Kitsune from Varizia, they have their own hero traditions. They are largely nomadic, very, very kind of standard Parisian, I almost want to say. They have some really cool little elements, like they have their own hero cards, they have some poetry they do with their cards. They also have this special dance that they do with their scarves, with the Varisian bladed scarves, that are kind of decorated to look like additional tails. So if they don't have a 5-tail kitsune for their special 5-tail dance, just put on 2 scarves and practice all your life so that you could dance with them as though they were extensions of your body. Really, really liked writing that. The Silvertail, probably had the most fun writing the Silvertail from Numeria. The Rengo and the Angen are both mentioned in Ancestry Guide, where the Silvertail, we just kind of came up with our own. They're from Numeria. They spend most of their life in fox form. I figured, like, what advantage would Kitsune have in Numeria? Oh, right, Numeria is all about dredging up these old technological relics from buried spaceships if you were tiny, you could be a lot better at that than if you were medium-sized. So maybe they spend all their time in fox form. Then they would need less food. They could travel faster. They could sleep in little dens and protect themselves from rampaging, roving bands of, barbarians or robots or what have you. So they spend most of their life in fox form. They have some alchemical traditions. Some of them kind of use technology. Some of them don't. They're very much... Their whole culture is very dependent on the star orbs, where they kind of keep knowledge of their ancestors, and they have made a special star orb out of starstone that is really important to them. There's a lot more to them about this. I don't want to give away everything. Get this, it's awesome. Kitsune of Golarion on Pathfinder Infinite right now. I believe it's $9.99, 47 pages. But we're going to keep going through more of these. Kitsune of Casmaran. The Baradi in Casmaran are kind of the horseback raiders. If you ever want to play a northern steeps, grassland, horse-riding raider-type Kitsune, man, here they are, the Baradi. Really cool here. We have this wonderful poem here. They have green foxfire. There's a lot of really cool elements about them. They act tougher than they really are. They understand the importance of intimidating people when you're a raider. Oh, thank you, Bianca. I really hope you check it out, because this thing is totally worth it to me. We're going to get more into it here. The Dijori are mountainous Kitsune who believe in reincarnation. They believe every time you die, you'll reincarnate, and the number of incarnations you have is the most number of tails you could get in that incarnation. So if you've died 3 times and come back to life twice, in your 3rd incarnation, you could get 3 tails. You could incarnate, of course, up to 9 times. The Inpaji are the Vudrani, very, very Vudrani Kitsune. They love colors and art and dancing and celebrations, and they're I don't want to just say... they have a special pantheon of Desna, Ashava, and Daikitsu. Every season, every equinox, they celebrate one of the 3 with 2 of the others as attendants, and I thought that was just a great detail. Then Kitsune of Garund. You have the Kalebi Kitsune. They are the Osirian Kitsune. They worship both Daikitsu and Anubis. Really cool. They kind of believe birth and death is a gift from Daikitsu to Anubis, from the god of life for Kitsune and fertility to the god of death. They celebrate life to its fullest. They celebrate passing. Overall, they're surprisingly happy for being such a death-centered culture, which is really nice. I love that a lot. I love the idea of it's very culturally satisfying. I've done some university anthropology work with the Egyptian faith, and it's very ancient Egyptian faith, and it's very satisfying to see accurately represented this idea that we respect death, we think about it, but we also celebrate death itself as a celebration of life. The idea of the afterlife being a continuation of life ensures that life is itself a form of celebration of life, and is more common among these river adjacent cultures of the ancient world. Anyway, and we also have Kitsune of the crown of the world, the North Pole, if you'll call it. We have the Inugatik Kitsune. Apologies if that was mispronounced. There's some really cool stuff in here about they live in these houses where everyone kind of lives together and works together and eats together and cooks together. They have to, of course, focus on survival. I'm sorry. This is the one that has the 3 pantheon, the Desna, Ashava, Daikitsu. I got that messed up. This is the one with the triple pantheon. The Inpaji are the Casmarons. I got that a little mixed up. Sorry about that. I'm just really excited looking at this book here. Finally, of course, we have the Kitsune of Tiansha. There we have the Huaiko Kitsune, who they're the only Kitsune who look sort of positively toward the legends of the Gumio. Gumio being these 9-tailed evil, let's call them Kitsune, 9-tailed fox fae. The Huaiko believe that they were all descended from a Gumio who became good after 1,000 years of not eating people's livers or doing bad things. So they very much have this kind of culture of redemption, and don't see the Gumio or the no Kitsune as irredeemable monsters like most Kitsune would, which is very cool, and gives us a great background if you want to play a Darkfields Kitsune but not be a total outcast, because usually Darkfields Kitsune would either be hidden from the rest of their culture, or be an outcast, or be from a remote part of the culture that doesn't follow the normal standards. All right, the Jinko are the Minkain Kitsune. They're also from Jinin Kwanlai. They're about honor, respect, dignity. They do a lot of swordsmanship. They still do some playful mischief, of course, but they're a little bit more serious than the others. The Shanko are the Northern Forest Kitsune. They're very much survivalist, celebrating nature. Here, I'll show you this one here with the bow. They get along well with the spirits, not as much as the Soko, but they're more rangers than druids. That's my favorite way of putting them. Oh, you hear the choo-choo. Yeah, it is train o'clock here. The Soko Kitsune, probably the one if I had to reclassify my old Kitsune, this would be the one I'd probably end up doing the most. They are your classic high spiritual Kitsune. They commune with Kami all the time. They're the most common to get 9 tails. They're seen as messengers of the gods. They are kind of the same way the Aslant are kind of the progenitors of the humans. The Soko are seen as kind of probably the progenitors of the Kitsune, maybe the first Kitsune, the ones most connected to and traditionally worshipping Daikitsu in a way that most other Kitsune would recognize. But I don't want to I am running a little low on time, and I don't want to just sit here on the heritage. The heritages are awesome. They're great. I would buy this just for the heritages. But no, that feels like it's actually more than half the book, but it's only half the book in terms of how much quality, awesome content you're going to get in this, as we have an entire 2-page spread here on Daikitsu, the Lady of Foxes. I'm just realizing right now I did not set up my PDF correctly to show the 2-page spreads. That is fine, though. Yeah, that's fine. All right, so we have Daikitsu, the Lady of Foxes. We have a full deity outline here, including her avatar form and her divine intercessions, which are just cool. In a way, I actually love the minor and moderate boons almost as much as the major. She could boon you with a fox familiar. That's just awesome. Just being like, you know what? Here's a familiar. Don't worry about spending a feat on it. Enjoy. It's a fox. You'll be able to talk to me through it or what have you. Cool with that. She could curse you by giving you a DC 5 chance to lose your hero point the first time you spend them every session, I want to say it is. She could give you additional forms, or the change shape feature as though you were a Kitsune, even if you originally weren't. Just a lot of cool stuff here. If you ever want to use Daikitsu in your campaign, here you have it. More information on Daikitsu than we ever got. Yes, as Bianca says, the best Christmas gift, a fox familiar. Oh man, I got my fox familiar right there over my head. My Kokoro up there, right up there above my head. Anyway, there are also new options for Kitsune, including a reforged Kitsune, where Alexander Agunis took the original Kitsune and changed its. He put a sidebar here saying, "What did you do?" As in, like, what's the difference between reforged and normal Kitsune? The base difference is the change shape ability was changed, so that you have you can choose what alternate form you have a little bit better, and you can actually be a tiny fox without it being strict penalties. One problem the original Kitsune has is if you want to turn into a fox, it's all downsides. You don't get a speed boost. You don't get anything. You just lose the ability to use weapons or cast spells. Sorry about the little parch. This fixes that, which is great because, as he put here, there's not a lot of ways to break being tiny in this edition, and there are other ancestries that let you be tiny, so why can't this one let you be decent while you're tiny? So there's a Reforged. Even if you're not using the Reforged, there are feats in here you could use. They're called Reforged Kitsune feats because they are a little stronger, but some of them can be used on or off, honestly. Shifting Faces lets you change around your human form to be more than just the one human form associated with your heritage. Myriad Forms gives you a tailless form if you don't normally have one, or a fox form if you have a tailless form. And Vulpine Jaws gives you a decent bite attack. There are some new Kitsune heritages in here. Flickering Flame is all based around the Foxfire Ancestry feat. Flagrant Blossom Kitsune lets you get Pest Form and Keen Nose. So if you're normally wouldn't get Pest Form with your heritage, this would let you pick it up, just regardless of which part of the world your fox is from. Leaping Willow is all about jumping really high, and Scorched Sand gives you some fire resistance, which, you know, I'm glad that was there. We need more Fennec Fox representation in our Kitsune, frankly, because they're adorable, and I love the big ears. All right, there are some new Kitsune feats for just everybody to go ahead and take, balanced whether or not you're Reforged or regular Kitsune. You could be more nimble, you could jump higher, you can morph your shape around to look like different people, you could get scent. At higher levels, you can improve your unarmed attack, you can become better at deception. There's some classics here from Pathfinder 1 that didn't quite make it over, such as Quick Shift, being able to shift as a free action. Leaping Pounce, being able to, I don't think it's called Vulpine Pounce in this. Yes, Leaping Pounce, where you can shift and then strike. I love that there's a feat in here called Skulk. It's classic. I like Puns a lot. What can I say? So I like Fox Puns a lot. There's even a Soulfire ability, very much like the Soulfire infusion from Starfinder, so you could add your Charisma modifier to your damage with your Foxfire, which is just fantastic. I love it, I love it, I love it. And of course, a startling shape change, so you can change shape and demoralize somebody when you do. Oh, and I can't forget this, restorative shape change, the ability to regain hit points when you change shape, so you could be not as broken as what I've heard of a 5e druid, but you know, it's always good to have additional ways to heal yourself. In addition, there's a whole series of items in this book called Kitsune Nomasks. You could use these with any ancestry that has shape change, or character blessed by Daikitsu, or otherwise shape-changey character. They are Nomasks that you could put on your face. In fact, hold on. Because of course I have one right here that I should have just brought with me. You could get Nomasks of different ancestries, different monsters, and when you put them on and shift, you can turn into that kind of creature, gaining some really cool bonuses. I love things that expand on your ability to shape change. I think that's very much underrated as an ability that you can customize in most game systems. Most people seem to think just shape changing is enough, but man, the ability to add different masks to turn into, like, the Leshy mask lets you turn into a plant. The Poppet mask lets you turn into a construct with a harmless doll ancestry feat. This is just really cool. There's so many cool things you can do with this, not just as a PC, but also as an NPC, who could then give this to the PCs as treasure when they're to a favor for them, or even are defeated in combat. So, in addition, there is an archetype called the Nomask Master. It lets you make these masks for free at the beginning of every day, or change rounds the ones that you already have. It lets you gain even more abilities by turning into, yes, there's one here for a Nogitsune, there's one here for a Gumio, there's even one here for a Pipe Fox or a Vulpinal. It lets you gain even further abilities by transforming. It lets you transform with your mask quicker. It lets you transform into a hybrid form that's like half your original, half the mask. So if you use the Draconic mask with this, you could turn into basically a Dragonkin instead of either being a dragon or your Kitsune form. There's even a no ensemble feat. This one's amazing. It lets you pass out your mask to your party members so you could all transform. So you could all just be like here's dragon masks. Let's all turn into dragons at the first round of combat and just do this combat as dragons or pipe foxes or trees. We can all turn into trees. This is a single action. I think everyone has to take their action together, though. Anyway, it's really cool. Assuming the roll lets you turn even more so into that kind of a creature. Mask Maker lets you make masks like that. And then the coolest, flavorful one, Mask of the Deity, gives you the strike from the avatar form of... It basically lets you use the avatar form ability with your mask. So you could have a mask for all the gods and turn into their avatar. Totally badass. More than just Kitsune can use this. It is the Nomask Master. Really cool dedication. I love it. I love how it's tied into an item that anyone could use. So you can choose how much of the Nomask you want in your campaign. You could even try them out a little before you decide to take the feats. I love it. Alexander Gunas is in chat saying it's based off the Fierce Deities mask from Majora's Mask. Well, there you have it. In addition, there are magical brews. They could be either rice wine or tea. They are alchemical. Are they all alchemical? They are not necessarily alchemical. My bad. They are consumable items that you brew in with your tea or sake, and they give you bonuses. The Babel Fox Brew, for example, gives you... sorry, where did I get that wrong? Oh, it lets you talk while you're in animal form. The Bright Grass lets you... The Bright Grass lets you transform into a different type of humanoid when you transform. So you're not just limited to your normal one. They are nice, really nice consumables that let you add additional benefits. The Bubbly Fox Brew gives you airwalk, so they're not all Kitsune only. While they are traditionally flavored as Kitsune, there are plenty here that any character could use. Love the idea of adding things to liquor or tea in order to get benefits from them and have a literally flavorful drink. I feel a lot of times consumables lose that flavor and just become the same as scrolls. Like, does anyone really think, like, man, what does my potion of haste taste like when I drink it? Not really, but you're going to think about it when you're taking your QB Fox Brew to let you regain a focus point, but potentially be stupefied, which, yes, these do have those backdraws, which help further make them feel like probably an alcohol additive, but works great with tea, which I'm really glad that's in there because we don't all want characters who are drunks. And finally, we have the Nine-Tailed Scion archetype. Very, very much a Kitsune archetype. You have to have the Kitsune trait to take this. First thing that strikes me now is Alex made additional feats of ancestry feats for this, which is genius. I love it. Like, it means that any class feat you take, for example, 4th level or higher, you could just take a 1st level Kitsune feat instead of a class feat. 8th level or higher, 5th level Kitsune feat, 12th level or higher, 9th level Kitsune feat, 16th level or higher, 13th level Kitsune feat, and you could use your 20th level class feat for a 17th level Kitsune feat if you'd like. I like that a lot. This is especially going to be great for free archetypes campaigns, which I think most of my friends are doing, so they're common enough that we should go ahead and design around them, in my opinion. The archetype itself gives you sorcerer casting, a little bit less than the dedication from the sorcerer, just done a little bit differently. It gives you 2 common cantrips and basic spellcasting benefits. But that's pretty much it for the dedication. Then the additional abilities give you something called a Fox Font, which gives you a bunch of spell slots equal to 1 + 1 per 2 Nine-Tailed Scion feats you have, other than the dedication feat, up to a maximum of 7. So it kind of feels like you're growing out your 9 tails there. And it gives you a whole list of spells that you get to cast using these additional spell slots. In addition, you get a Foxfire Spell Strike. Really cool. There is no way to get a ranged spell strike without being a Magus, because you normally have to take the Magus Hybrid Study that allows you to do ranged spell strikes, which you normally can't access without being a Magus. This lets you have a ranged spell strike. It is only with your Foxfire, which helps balance it quite a bit, because Foxfire is not the strongest ranged weapon you could have, but it's super flavorful. I love the I love the scene of charging a spell into your Foxfire and throwing it at someone. It feels like it fits the archetype. It fits the idea really well. Oh, yes, Eldritch Archer is pretty much a ranged spell striker close to it. Yeah, you can do Eldritch Archer, but that is only with bows. So there's still no way to get it to Foxfire without taking this. There's still no way with anywhere to get it with, I don't know, Seed Pod, Shuriken, guns. Well, there is also the gun blaster archetype. So there are other ways to get ranged spell strike, but this is the only way to get ranged spell strike with a natural range attack, specifically with Foxfire. There is no generic way to get it with all ranged weapons. All right. Foxfire Encirclement lets you imbue a weapon you wield with your Foxfire to get additional damage to that weapon. Enthralling Font gives you some enchantment spells to your Fox Font in addition to all those illusion spells you normally get. Nine-Tailed Breath lets you expand the repertoire of your Fox Font. Trickster's Ploy, and I'll even throw in there Nine-Tailed Genjutsu, lets you do checks to potentially lower the saving throws of your opponent against a spell you're casting. In the case of Trickster's Ploy, you're effectively feinting the target, except it's to get your spell DC instead of their AC. And Nine-Tailed Genjutsu, you are effectively doing a Deception, Diplomacy, or Intimidate to kind of trick them out, depending on what kind of caster you are, to give them a potential status penalty. I love that a lot. I do think there are not enough ways to affect spell DCs. I understand a lot of that is probably fear from first edition, but spells are considerably more balanced in this edition, and there are tons of ways to lower people's AC, but not so much DC. So I actually really like that. I was first really skeptical when I saw it, but I've given it some time to brew in my head, and I do like it. I mean, it does still take a feat. It does still take the extra actions, so it's not absurdly broken or anything. I think it's a solid feat, and I think a lot of spellcasters are going to want something like that. I would almost want to see it as a skill feat, which would be nice because the 4 casting skills are missing out on some feat options. There's not a lot of really good feats for those yet outside of third-party books. Expert Nine-Tailed Spellcasting gives you the expert benefits. Kitsune Suki is fox possession. It's a big part of the Kitsune myth. This lets you possess somebody as per the possession spell. I'm glad it's here because that's part of... I did a YouTube video a while ago on all the different myths of Kitsune and how they tie into the Ancestry Guide Kitsune. And Kitsune Suki is a big part of the Kitsune myth that was missing from Ancestry Guide, so I'm glad to see it in here. Yeah, all the ways that reduce AC except flat-footed effect saves is the thing, but at the same time, it's not always enough. That is true in Daintily, and they affect very specific saves, so you have to really invest around unless you want to target focus one saving throw, which I really don't like. I like theming my casters based on, oh, thanks Bianca, you should buy it and leave a review and tell people how awesome it is, and do the same for as many Infinite products that interest you as possible. I'm not a fan of a lot of forum goers seem to be asking what's the worst saving throw. And yes, this art is fantastic. Here, I'm going to put it back here at the front so you can see the cover. A lot of people like focusing on one saving throw, which statistically is kind of the best thing to do because then you could focus on what debuff to give your targets so you could hit that saving throw all the time. I don't think that's the most flavorful option. A lot of times you'll pick a flavor like Ice or Shadow or something that fits your character's theme, and you'll have a lot of spells with a lot of different saves. You'll have a chilly spell that targets Fort, a Polar Blast that targets a Reflex. I think that's a lot cooler than, well, Fort's the lowest save, so Fort. If it's Fort, I honestly forget what it is right now. Especially with that Shadow Ring then thrown into the blend. I much prefer abilities that just hit all 3 saving throws or hit one of the 3 saving throws, but you get to choose which one it is, rather than having to target focus one saving throw down. So that's why I love these abilities from the Nine-Tailed Scion. Oh yeah, definitely professional layout and art. Oh, you did the Hell's Rebel PF2 adaptation. Awesome. Yeah, that sold really well. I'm talking right now in chat to Bianca, who, yes, was the author behind the Hell's Rebel PF2 adaptation. That sold really, really well. I was happy to see that. Oh, almost forgot here. There is also, yes, there's a 20th level to get 9th level spell slots with the Nine-Tail dedication. Master spell casting benefits are at level 16. That's the whole dedication. Dab. I refuse to dab on camera. Maybe later. But anyway, so there we have it. Kitsune of Golarion. Went a little bit over time, but I couldn't help it. I had to talk about this book. Even if I didn't have credits in it, I would dedicate a whole show and a half to this. I love the Kitsune Ancestry. I found AC is pretty reliable to aim for with spells because so many things could lower AC and count for flat-footed. Yeah, exactly in Novel Enigma. So many things lower AC. I find enemies are probably more often flat-footed than not. Mind you, I do play a rogue with gang up, so that's not that unusual. But there's so many more ways to lower AC than DC. On Monday, I am going to be doing Booster Bestiary as usual. Or Tuesday, I'm going to be doing Booster Bestiary as usual. At 4 p.m., we'll be making a monster on stream out of random booster packs. And then on next Friday, which I believe is New Year's Eve. All right, so on New Year's Eve at 6, I'm going to be doing a whole big show on everything that was released this last year for... Oh, thank you, Finder. Finder says he likes the show. All right, on New Year's Eve, which is next Friday at 4 o'clock Pacific, I will be doing a full show on all my favorite things that were released on Pathfinder Infinite over the last year. I'll just be kind of going over everything I had. I may or may not be ranking them like S to F or something, but that feels kind of mean because a lot of these products, frankly, I could find use for everything. But, or I'll just be going over them really fast and talking about all my favorite things from each one. We'll figure that out when the time comes. So please do check that out. May or may not be bringing up some of my own stuff as well. In addition, I do want to bring up the news that the Paizo sale is still ongoing. So if you're buying anything from Paizo up until sometime next year, you should check out their blog. I think it's called Holiday 21 or Winter 21. I think it's Winter 21 in all caps. We'll give you a 10%, 20% discount. We'll give you a discount. So check out their blog. And you could check it out. Oh, a best of. I like that Novel Enigma. Yeah, I could do a best of categories. I think I'll do that. So I'll do kind of an award show. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'll do an award show for Pathfinder Infinite on New Year's. We'll talk about the whole year, which since Infinite came out in October, will be 2 months of 3 months of Pathfinder Infinite content. I'll try to do this as an annual thing, but there will be 12 months of content next year, so that might be a little difficult, but we'll figure it out. I think Ancestry would be the hardest one to judge because we got Kitsune, we got Lomelings, and we got Dragonkin, 3 amazing products. There was some great base classes released. Man, I don't know how to do that. We'll figure it out. I think it'll be great. It'll be great. Also, check out the No Direction podcast. We have a holiday show some point next week. I should be on that as well as Alexandra Agunas, the author of Kitsune of Golarion. Oh, and Vanessa Hoskins. I almost forgot to show that off. She has a new episode of Vellum and Laces out, episode 2, meaning there are 3 Vellum and Laces that you could read and catch up with. It's fun. It's great. I can't remember the last time that I've been so excited to see more content from a fantasy author. It's really fun. I'm loving it. It's the adventures of some Arcanarium students in Absalom. Vanessa and Helen certainly know the lore. Their characters have great chemistry. I love the whole bit. It's such a fantastic use of the Pathfinder Infinite platform. So, man, I do love it. I do love it. I do love it. So, anyway, go ahead, have yourself a fabulous holiday. Take a break. Be great to yourselves. Be chill. And please join us on whenever you join us. I will see you on Tuesday for Booster Bestiary and on next Friday for our Infiknight award show. So until then, don't forget to use hero points when you roll those ones and roll as many 20s as you can and have yourself a fabulous weekend.